Hello. So, my name is Joyce. So, I'm going to be talking about something that nobody wants to talk about, something that is a nightmare to a lot of people, something that nobody wants to be associated with, and that is what? Failure. Yes, I want to talk about failure for a change. Okay, so failure is failure. Failure is where you do not plan to be, but unfortunately, you are there. Failure is what we do every day that we are not proud of. Okay, now for us to be successful, which is what everybody wants to be, successful in business, successful in marriage, successful in your friendships, okay, you must learn how to deal with your failures. That is the only way you can be and remain successful. Now, failure is not a bad thing. It's what people dread the most, but failure, if you look at it from another perspective, you understand that failure is your asset as a human being. Failure is what makes you an experienced person in your business. Okay? Now, I'm going to touch three things that we must do with failure. One, you must define failure. Two, you must embrace failure. Thirdly, you must act on failure. Defining failure means saying it as it is. You should never in your life try to what? Rationalize failure, my darling. Failure should not be rationalized. It is failure and it is failure. There is no in between failure or success. No matter how good the stories behind failure is, it's still a failure. Okay, so you must define failure. Now, the reason why you must have defined failure is because if you don't define failure, failure will absorb you. So nobody wants to be as absorbed by what by failure. So in order not to get absorbed by failure, you define failure. Say it as it is. Tell yourself the truth. Most times we try to tell ourselves to make ourselves feel good. And behind the stories, why I did not get it right, why I failed is what is. But my dear, it's still failure. You can never call it a success if you have not succeeded. Now, failure is failure. So define it and stick to that definition. Secondly, you must embrace failure. Own it. Yes, own your failure. Be proud of your failures. If you don't own your failures, then you don't have a story. Life is in phases. Now, if you embrace your failure, you know that you have failed. You've accepted that you have failed. You now know the pain of failure. You don't know what you have lost as a result of failure. It makes you to make better decisions. Okay, so the third thing that this leads us to the third thing, which says that you must act on failure. Now, if you define failure and embrace failure, it's still failure, except you do what? Except you act on it. Now, I have failed. I've failed in many areas of life, and I believe every other person have failed. We have failed as parents. We have failed as in businesses. We fail daily. What you set your wake up in the morning, you set your goals, and at the end of the day, for one reason or the other, you don't achieve that goal. Okay, it's not success, it's still failure. So, what makes you to transform failure in and use it as a currency for success is your action with what you have learned while you failed. For every failure, there is a lesson. For every obstacle you have had to deal with, there is a lesson. For every mistake that you have had to make and you are successfully being able to define it and embrace it, then you must have learned how not to make that mistake again. That is action. So failure and learning from failure is your sure currency to success. Okay, so don't be mad at yourself when you fail. Don't feel so bad when you fail. Look for the lessons, learn from them. The more mistakes you make, the closer you are to your success, because you have learned how not to make those mistakes again. And if you have made those mistakes and in the morning, if it is like I used to say I said it somewhere, it's better to make your mistakes in the morning than to make it in the night. Meaning that when you make your mistakes earlier, you learn from them and you live to see your peak. But when you cut corners, you don't make mistakes, and somehow you became successful at something and you make a mistake, it tells more on you. Okay, so don't be afraid to make mistakes. Make your mistakes. Make the mistakes as frequent as you are. Don't be scared of making mistakes. Take calculated risks, and then you are sure that you have become an experienced person towards success. And by so doing, you will save yourself a lot of loss, a lot of heartaches in future. Thank you very much.